Hello everybody, today what we're going to do is an experiment to investigate the process of diffusion. For this experiment we're going to use a piece of Visking tubing, which is a piece of plastic cylinder which is very thin that we're going to use to represent the cell membrane of our cell. In order to be able to use this, we need to soften this so that we can fill it with one of our two solutions. So I'm going to tie a knot in the end of the Visking tubing to start, and then I'm going to dunk it into the water to make it nice and soft and malleable, which should then allow me to open up the other end of the Visking tubing bag. Now to this bag, using a dropper, I'm going to add some sugar solution. Now it's glucose that I'm using, but you could also use maltose or lactose as your sugar solution for this. Okay, so I'm going to try and find the end of this. Now I find if you rub your fingers together along the end, sometimes it helps open it up. Here we go. And I'll use the end of the dropper just to find that opening. There we go. So I'm going to fill my bag with my sugar solution. So I'm going to bring it over here so I don't get any sugar solution into my water. And it's going to start to look a little bit like a sweetie, a liquid sweetie in its wrapper as we slowly put the solution in. And one more for look. Okay, so notice it now looks a little bit like a sweetie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze the top and just wrap around my finger like an old-fashioned granny knot and push it down. So I now have my Visking tubing bag containing my sugar solution. Now I'm going to put this bag into this beaker of water. What I want to do is to make sure that it's nice and clean. But before we do this, what I'm looking to do, the purpose behind this experiment is to see whether or not the sugar molecules that are inside our sugar solution in the bag are going to move through this Visking tubing, the cell membrane model, into the surrounding water. So in order to show that it has moved, I need to do a test for sugar in this water to start with, so I can prove that the sugar has definitely moved from the bag into the water at the end of the experiment. So I'm going to do a test at time 0, which is now, and I'm going to do another test after about 45 minutes, something like that. So in order to do that, I need to take a sample from out of my water into a boiling tube or into a test tube. So I don't need a lot, a couple of squishes will be plenty. And I'm going to do a Benedict's test with this, but what I'll do is I'll get this started first of all. So in it goes. And I'm going to start our timer. So at time 0, whoop, and then we'll come back and check it after about 45 minutes, something like that. Okay, so with the water sample I've taken from the beaker at time 0, what I'm now going to do is test it for the presence of sugar using Benedict's reagent. Now in order for Benedict's reagent to work, we need to give it some heat energy in order to bring about the reaction of this reagent. So I'm going to add some Benedict's reagent until I get my lovely blue colour, okay, to my water. No more than that, don't need to be excessive. And then I'm going to put this into a hot water bath. So I've got an empty beaker here, and I'm going to put my boiling tube in there, and I'm going to add some water from the kettle to the outside of the boiling tube, and leave it for a couple of minutes, and we're going to see whether or not it changes colour or not. So a negative test for our sugar means it will stay that same blue colour. A positive test for our sugar means we'll get a brick red precipitate forming. so that solid will make it look a little bit like fresh orange juice with the bits in. Okay, so we'll see whether or not there's any reaction here, and at the same time we've got our experiment sitting, ticking away now at time 3 minutes. Now what we should see, if you've set up this procedure correctly, is that we have a negative test for sugar. We shouldn't see any change to this at all. If there is a colour change, if it does become brick red, then it means you have contaminated your water for your experiment and you're going to have to set your water up again. Okay, I'm happy to say that that is a negative test. It should have changed by now. So we'll come back again in 40-45 minutes and we'll repeat this procedure with the water surrounding the Visking tubing bag.